Good evening, everyone. We so appreciate you being here and joining us for this special evening, and we're so grateful to have Dinesh D'Souza here. I know a lot of you have seen the movie. We saw it as well, me and my husband, and thoroughly enjoyed it, and we're just blessed to have you here. Well, tonight I have one goal, and it's pretty simple, and that is to express to you why you should support advocates, and really to express to you why I support advocates. Bob and I support it every day through our time, with our finances. We run a private practice that helps to fund the nonprofit ministry that we run, which is Advocates, and it's a labor of love. Ron Strand, actually, we were in a meeting, and he said, you know, I think one of you should get up and try to express why you do what you do and why it's important for all of you to help us in this mission and help us accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. So I hope to do that for you tonight. You know, honestly, over the last year even, why I do what I do and why we do what we do, Bob and I together, has shifted a little bit for us, or maybe it's just come into better focus, I guess is a better way to say it. I did get married in May. I married an amazing man who is supportive and passionate about this cause as well, and passionate about advocates. And through that experience and just the beginning of our marriage, and really looking forward to having kids and looking at the next generation, so much of this for me was an intellectual cause. I went to college and fell in love with constitutional law, fell in love with American history, and was a history major, and just loved what I did. And I have loved it for the last 7 years. And now I look at what we do and I think, I do what I do, and I give so much time, and Bob and I give so much of who we are and our passions and the gifts that God has blessed us with to do this, because I want my kids, my future kids, that we hopefully will have in the next couple years here, to grow up in the America that I grew up. And that is it's not about an American dream. It's not about patriotism. It's really about growing up in America that they can use the gifts that God has given them to make a difference in the world, whatever difference that is. Thank you. And in order to do that, they need to learn about the God that I serve, and they need to learn the things that I learned in my home from my parents, who were phenomenal, and at the Christian schools that I went to. My principal is actually here tonight with his wife. And in the colleges I went to, and the universities I went to a private Christian school, and even my law school, actually. I was blessed to go to Pepperdine and learn from some amazing conservative professors. And they taught me about my faith. They taught me how to use it. They taught me how to enact it in my life and how I could potentially make an impact. And I want to give that to my kids. I want to give it to my nieces and nephews. I have so many of my nieces here who've been, and cousins who are young, 17, and just about to go out in the world. And I want them to go out in a world that they're allowed to act on their faith, not just believe it and keep it inside, but hear from the pulpits and know the truth of who Christ is. And that's really what Advocates is about. It's about the Great Commission. It's about going and spreading the gospel through public forums in churches and helping to build churches. It's about making sure that pastors can say the truth from the pulpit, whatever that truth is, whether it's politically correct or popular at that time. That really shouldn't matter in this country. That's what we were founded on. That's who we are. It's not about patriotism, although patriotism is amazing. It's not about just defending a constitutional right because that's what's right. For us, it's about the Great Commission. It's about making sure that pastors can speak the truth from the pulpit. And it's about making sure that every single individual can profess their beliefs, whether it's in a school, whether it's in public, whether it's on a sidewalk. They have free speech to do that, and they should be able to do it in this country. That's who we are. But it's not just about this country. It's also about raising a next generation and encouraging this generation to go out into the entire world. That's what the Great Commission is, and that's what this nation is about. It's about allowing religious freedom and teaching our next generation, whether it's in a private school or through a pulpit or whatever, to go out and really spread the word of God. It's about spreading the gospel, as Bob was talking about, and that's important to us. It's about a young man named Chad Farnan, who's actually here. I say young man. When we started working with him, he was 15 years old. He's about to turn 21. He also happens to be 6'7". He towers over me, and I'm not short. He makes me look like I'm just a very short individual. I was just standing next to him actually during dinner. But he stood up at 15 and he said, you know what? I'm uncomfortable in my public high school classroom, and that's not right. Why is that? It's because his teacher was teaching just a lot of atheistic principles. He was saying things like, when you put on your Jesus glasses, you can't see the truth, and so many more statements over a period of 3 weeks. And Chad was uncomfortable, and he realized that he had rights. He had the right to sit in that classroom and not be uncomfortable. He had the right to raise his hand and express his faith if he wanted to and not feel like he was going to be attacked. And Chad was willing and able to go on this journey with us and to challenge his teacher. We went at the district court level, and unfortunately, we went to the Ninth Circuit. And the Ninth Circuit refused to basically consider the constitutionality of what happened in that classroom. They gave the teacher immunity from the suit, basically, and refused to answer the question as to whether what he did was unconstitutional. So the court case was essentially a draw. But what wasn't a draw is that we were able to stand up. Chad was able to stand up. And honestly, I put really hundreds and hundreds of hours into that case, and I don't regret a single minute, because I got to know an amazing family and an amazing man who is standing up for his faith and who knows what his rights are. And I got to see God work through this kid at 15 who's become this young man, and he impacted thousands of people's lives by going through the media and telling his story and telling kids that they have the right to stand up. That's what we're about. We're about spreading the gospel, and Chad is so willing to spread that gospel. He was raised in an amazing family, an amazing Christian family who taught him who Christ is, and he's willing to stand up. He's still standing up, and now he's actually a swim coach for 6- and 7-year-old kids, and I just thought, what an amazing, those kids, I hope they know what an amazing man they have coaching them, because he is phenomenal. He's 21 and he's a Pepperdine, which, I like to take credit for, but I really have nothing to do with it. But he is a phenomenal young man, and we were blessed to represent him. Advocates is really about understanding that we live blessed lives in a nation where we have constitutionally guaranteed rights that make it ultimately easy to both learn about and live out our faith. Bob and I are living out our faith and enacting our passions, and I hope that you will join this journey with us, whether you're beginning the journey or whether you're just continuing along the journey with us. We are blessed by every one of you, blessed by your support, and each one of you here is so important to us, whether you're here for the first time or you've been here for the last 5 years. We're just grateful. We're grateful you're here, and we hope that you will join this journey with us, that you'll help support us, because we want to impact the next generation. We want to spread the gospel. Bob and I both go to Calvary Chapel Murrieta with our families, and our pastor, Brian Bell, who actually opened the night, recommended a book to me a couple of months ago that really impacted me, and it was kind of the capstone for this speech, I guess. And I just want to read you a quote. It's by an author named David Platt, and it's called Radical. And it says, "We believe that God has shown us great grace in order that he might use them to accomplish the glorious, global, God-exalting purpose that has been primary since the beginning of time. And they don't want to settle for anything less than radical abandonment to that purpose." We'll tell you that Advocates is about radical abandonment to the cause of Christ, to spreading the gospel in America and throughout the world. It's about having the 10 Commandments up for everybody to see, because through every time a pastor gets up at a pulpit and speaks the truth of Christ, and every time a child sees those 10 Commandments in a park, whatever it may be, they understand a little bit more about who we are and about what's important in life. And we're hopeful that we can defend our constitutional freedoms, because they're not just about constitutional freedoms. They're about creating a generation, the next generation, that understands those freedoms and is able to learn and live a life dedicated to an amazing Father in heaven. And we're hopeful that you guys will join us in that journey. Thank you.